Hey, good morning, everybody. This is RADM William Galinis, Program Executive Officer for SHIPS, and this is the Engineering Duty Officers Quarterly Leadership Podcast. And so my intent this morning is just a couple of opening thoughts, how I think about leadership, and then a couple of questions that have been submitted by the community that I'll kind of answer. So just to kind of start a couple of things, I want to kind of talk about two different categories. The first is building the team, and then the second is executing the mission. So think about team and mission as the key components here. So building the team, in today's environment, everybody is looking to attract and retain talent. And so, how do we do that? And I would tell you, within the Navy, we have a number of terrific opportunities for people coming into the government or into the Navy, either in a civilian capacity or through active duty, and just the number of projects and opportunities that are available to folks, and specifically within the NAVC enterprise. We get to work on some really cool stuff, and so one of our big selling points is just the opportunity for people to really kind of expand their horizons, work on some really, really interesting projects, and serve the country. And so that's a big selling point to attract talent. The other part of that is just the opportunities for advancement, and this is kind of how you retain people. Most people will stay with an organization or a company or the Navy for as long as they can, see advancement opportunities, opportunities to grow, to improve themselves, improve their future, and so that's an important piece of that. Our ability to develop technical talent along the way. We have a number of training opportunities available to us, online training opportunities through formal courseware, education at different schoolhouses. To continue to advance and improve ourselves, but then also the opportunity to improve and advance our leadership skill set. And, again, through either self-training, formal courses, podcasts such as this, just kind of how you continue to build that team and develop that talent, both from a technical and leadership perspective. And then a big piece of this is, as a leader, as you build that team, is the communication aspect of that team, and articulating your vision. And I'll talk a little bit more about this when we talk about executing the mission. But as a leader, to be able to have that plan, communicate that plan to the team, and then execute that plan, and measure your progress along the way as you go is important. And people are just generally naturally interested in feedback and how they're doing. And so as you execute that plan, the feedback and measuring your success and how that is going is very important to the team. So the ability to develop a plan, communicate that plan, and then execute is also a key part to building the team. And then kind of overarching this is really building a culture. And this is something that in the number of opportunities that I've had through the Navy and the teams that I've worked with, something that I will tell you I've taken a particular interest in is building the team culture. And really what I talk a lot about is building a constructive culture, a culture of trust. Most of the teams that I've had the opportunity to work with, I tell them, we're problem-solving organizations by nature, and a lot of times those are very difficult problems. And so, having a constructive culture, a culture where people trust each other, they feel they can talk about the challenges and the issues, and kind of have that open and honest dialogue about those, and then go off as a team, come to center up on a solution, and then move forward to execute that solution is important. So, as we think about building the team, 4 things: how do we attract and retain talent? how do we develop both a technical and leadership knowledge base across the team? And then as a team comes together, what is your plan? What is your vision for that team? How do you communicate that, execute that, and then measure that steps along the way? And then the glue that kind of binds all that together is the culture that you establish as a leader within your team. And I like to think about a very constructive culture that's built on trust, that people feel that we can talk to each other and kind of have those communications. The second part of this is really kind of executing the mission. And so where the team comes first, executing the mission is right behind that. And a strong team, will enable you to execute the mission as planned. So again, you think about what a team looks for in a leader when it comes to mission execution. Someone who has the right level of experience, that right level of knowledge, which then leads to the competence of the leader and translates to competence of the team, in my view. So again, experience and expertise equals competence, and provides a leader that the team can feel confident in. Again, the ability to make good decisions is also key to that. So, if you have the right level of experience, and you have the right knowledge base, and you're making good decisions, that will build confidence in the team to allow them to execute the mission. And then, as I've talked about in building the team, again, communication. And, what is the plan? What is the vision? How does that get communicated to the team? That's extremely important. And so, those three things, having a competent leader who's a good decision maker, executing and communicating his or her vision, really will build confidence and leadership for the team to execute their mission. So then, with those two thoughts, building the team and executing the mission, the best advice I can give you is, kind of use, what works best for you. What type of leader are you? What fits your personality, your style. Oftentimes I'll talk about, building your leadership toolbox along the way. And I've had a chance to do that with the number of very successful, very competent leaders that I've had a chance to work with and work for. And, you learn something from those people. We all do. We learn something from the people that we work with, the leaders that we work with and work for along the way. That being said, I will tell you, as I kind of developed as a leader and learned things from other people and developed my own leadership toolbox, there were some things observed along the way that just didn't work for me in terms of how different leaders led. And so even though they maybe became part of my leadership toolbox, probably not things that I used very often. But I've been very fortunate to work with a number of good leaders that have mentored me along the way, which really kind of leads me to the next part of this is mentoring and coaching people. And it's something within the engineering duty officer community. We've always had mentoring as a strength of our community. And I think if you talk to current or former engineering duty officers, you would get that feedback that mentoring is a strong component of our community and how we bring people along and advance them into positions of increased responsibility and increased leadership. Probably a newer concept that's being introduced at our schoolhouse within the last year or so is this concept of coaching. And just real quickly, from my perspective, the difference between kind of a mentoring aspect and coaching. Mentoring, think of that as more strategic, kind of career planning, longer term view, where coaching is probably more tactical in nature, probably best done by somebody that you work with closely, on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis. So that's the way I kind of think about that. Mentoring more strategic and long-term in nature, coaching more tactical, probably better focused on the current work, the current mission that you're executing, and how you're kind of working your way through that. So just a couple of thoughts there on leadership. Build a team, execute the mission, and then really kind of use kind of leadership tools and techniques that work for you. Don't try to be somebody that you're not. So let me now just kind of real quick, I'll answer just a couple of quick questions that we got here from the community. The first one being, what are the character attributes selected for the FY 2021 and thoughts on each? So we have not selected traits for 20 and 21 yet. That is on the plan for next year for fiscal year 21. The selected attributes that we do have that we're focused on for the community right now. The first one is developing others, and so things that we've done. I've talked about the mentoring aspects within our community. That's a very strong characteristic of what we do within the engineering duty officer community. But the new piece again is that coaching element, and a little bit more focus on that and how we coach people as they take on new assignments and new opportunities, and moving forward. The other two traits, one is strategic planning, and how this fits in. Probably all of us probably at some level have a strategic plan, whether it's a personal strategic plan or professional for the organization that we work with, maybe depending on your position, your leadership role within that organization. But again, strategic thinking. What are the key elements of your organization's mission, and how do those get implemented? And then how are you building that team to execute that part of your mission? And then the vision, right? So what is your vision? The current NAVC vision, right, is on-time delivery of ships and a culture of affordability and the cybersecurity, enhancing our cybersecurity posture, right? And so, that's the vision, and how is that communicated, through the different documents that have been put out, and how we communicate that to the team. So that's an important piece of it. So the current attributes that we have, developing others, strategic thinking, and vision are what we have in play across the community right now. And again, we'll be reevaluating those next year in 2020. 21. So let me just so one last question here. Leadership thoughts on implementing coaching in the engineering duty officer community. Again, I would say, from my sense, I would tell you that coaching has probably been around for a long time, and many of us have either played on sports teams or coached sports teams, and so we all kind of understand the role of a coach, and and how they develop the skills of the individual players on the team, put together the game plan, execute the game plan, and that's really the kind of the role of a coach, right? So if you work at a regional maintenance center, for example, on a project team executing a CNO availability. The expectation is that maybe some of the senior project managers or the class team leads, or even the commanding officer, on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis, would be providing direction and counsel on how a particular project, your particular project is progressing, and things. How do you interface with ships force during that availability, or how do you interface with the contractor executing that, or how within the regional maintenance center organization, the contracting office or the technical team or the finance folks to move your project forward. So I think we've been doing coaching for a long time. I think as I mentioned, just within the last year or so, we've really kind of brought that maybe more into the spotlight. It's part of the curriculum now at our ED school, and as we kind of continue to advance that conversation, we'll be talking more about that. So that kind of concludes today's podcast. Please, if you have questions on this, please send me an email, and I'd be happy to respond. But thanks for listening, and have a great day.